and then you scroll at the table of contents. Okay. Oops, what is happening to this? Okay, so if you look at this chapter 1, for example, so this is a very standard outlines, okay, of what you need to have in the chapter 1. Okay, introduction as background of the study, problem statement, research question, and research objective. Okay, significance, scope, and organization, that one we can leave later. But the one that I want to highlight are these 4 parts here. Okay, background, problem statement, research question, and also research objectives. Okay, so these 4 is a continuous, is like a one continuous section. Once you develop your background properly, then you should be able to establish your problem statement. And once you have clearly identified what is the problem of the project, I mean, what is the issue that you want, that you are interested to investigate in the problem statement section, then you can outline your research questions. Okay, and then once you develop your research question, research objective is quite simple to do because it's just following what are the questions that you put, that you read and that you write in the research question. So just a matter of rewriting the sentence into objective format. Okay, but the main thing is that 1.1 to 1.4 is a continuous, it should be a continuous flow of content. Okay, so if you fail to develop your idea from the background properly, then when you write your problem statement, you have not actually deliver what you actually want to do. Okay, so let me maybe share my own project. Okay, my own thesis, my own PhD thesis when I wrote that several years ago. Okay, so maybe you can get some idea how my own style of writing, a standard project, how a standard project should looks like. Okay, but my PhD thesis is slightly different because when I did my PhD, I did not follow the 5 chapters format as what you normally see in a standard thesis. Okay, when I mentioned that you should have the 5 chapters: introduction, literature review, method, findings, and then the conclusion. Okay, all those 5 chapters. Okay, in my PhD thesis, I did not follow that format because the university where I did my PhD, I mean, of course, there are many students who did that approach as well. But in my case, the university also allow some flexibility, okay, in the structure of the thesis. So this is my the thesis that I did. Okay, so my thesis is from the Lancaster University, UK. Okay, so but how I organize my thesis is slightly different. It's based on project by project basis. Means that I have 3 separate issues in my thesis. Okay, so chapter 3 is one separate issue. Okay, and then chapter 4 is another issue, and then chapter 5 is another project. So meaning that I got 3 separate projects where each project is stand on its own. Okay, in terms of, you can see here, I have my own introduction, my own literature review, and then my own data section, and then my results. Okay, and then the conclusion. So, and I repeat the process for the second project as well, the second issue on oil price and exchange rate. Okay, the introduction, the literature review, the data, okay, and then the results and something like that. So basically, the way I approach my PhD is slightly different. So that's why I cannot really use my PhD as the main source to actually help you how to construct this format: introduction, chapter 1, chapter 2, and so forth. But what I want to share is maybe one of the project, okay, that I did, one of the paper, one of the issue or project in my thesis. Okay, and I will share you how an introduction should be written. Okay, of course, I'm not saying that my thesis is the best one out there, but at least since I'm the one teaching you, so you should might as well follow the what I think is the proper way to actually write your introduction. Okay, so what you saw in the previous thesis from the student, okay, the impact of macroeconomics on FDI, okay, and I think what we discussed last Monday was that the student provided a very limited amount of information, okay, on the FDI data, okay, and then mention a bit of the macroeconomic factors that are affecting FDI. So basically, this second paragraph is about, I mean, the purpose of this paragraph is supposed to give the reader or the examiner some idea on what are the macroeconomic variables that are linked to FDI. Beside that, it is a very simple introduction. Okay, so whenever you write an introduction in your own project, okay, so I mean, by now I think you should have go through as many theses as possible from the Google Drive, okay, and see how a good introduction is prepared. So basically, the main idea of an introduction, it should follow like this. Okay, like a pyramid, inverse pyramid shape. Okay, meaning that you start your issue with the most general idea, okay, and then you start focusing on narrowing down your idea to be more specific on the issue that you are looking at. So, for example, okay, now we are in the pandemic, right? So, I mean, the topic on COVID-19 impact on the economy is like the number one ranking in term of the popularity. Okay, when it comes to articles that you can find in Google Scholar, okay, issues related to COVID-19 will be the like the trend nowadays. Okay, so but now I mean the issue is very much relevant even after 2 years of almost 2 years of this pandemic, because the impact it will be felt. Okay, the impact of COVID-19 is here to stay. Okay, for several years to come. It's not that maybe after next year, if our life goes back to as maybe not the full normal, but close to normal, whereby we can resume our normal teaching. You can come to UEM to learn face to face, and you can go to to watch movie in the cinema. But I mean, there are still some SOPs. I mean, like you need to follow some procedures, wearing mask or whatever things like that we are used to do right now. Okay, but the impact on the economy of especially will be will be felt for many years to come. It's not that you can you can assume that we can go back to pre-crisis level in the next 1 or 2 years. Maybe if we are lucky, you know 3 to 4 years, then it might take up to 3 to 4 years before we can actually at least reach like 60% and 70% of the pre-crisis level. Okay, for example, like the automotive industry. Okay, the automotive industry, they need it's expected that only until 2023, 2 years from now, that the production of cars can actually reach its normal level. Okay, because of the shortage in microchip supply. The semiconductor industry now is having problems to meet demand because of the restrictions in the traveling, in the supply chain that we had for almost more than 1 year. Okay, so that actually affect many industries, especially the automobiles. If you read news on the large manufacturers like Toyota, Volkswagen, okay, many like in the US, Ford, GM. These are the companies that have struggling to actually increase production because of the shortage in the supply of components, okay, especially in the semiconductor industry, microchips and whatnot. Okay, so even for company like Samsung, okay, a giant in the telecommunication industry is struggling to actually meet demand or increase production. Okay, so I watched this one YouTube documentary on this issue. Okay, and Samsung, I think put a factory in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, taken a big hit because of the shortage in the supply of components. Okay, so the topic on if you plan to do any topic on COVID-19, okay, especially if you are relying on primary data, right? Because as I need to repeat this or remind you that the focus of our subject, okay, of research method, okay, the thesis should be written or should be the topic of your project, okay, should be based on primary data. Primary data means your data is based on questionnaire. So meaning that there are some topics that you find in the Google Drive thesis. The thesis in the Google Drive are not relevant to you in the aspect of the structure of the source of data. If for example, the thesis that we discussed last Monday on the macroeconomic impacts of on FDI, the macroeconomic variables impact on FDI, that one is not relevant in terms of the title itself, okay, because that relies on secondary data. Okay, but there are many papers or many research in the Google Drive, and also if you want to find it, in the Google, okay, that are based on survey or questionnaire. Okay, so in fact, my own project does not rely on primary data, because even until today, okay, the focus of my research are based on secondary data. So I'm more into the regression project. Using econometrics, modeling using high frequency data, daily data, stock prices, exchange rates, and whatnot. So, but I do involve in primary data research, okay, in the group research with other lecturers. But in terms of my own interest, I'm more interested into secondary data analysis. Okay, so as I mentioned just now, okay, whenever you want to develop your introduction, okay, you will start with the general idea first, okay, and then slowly, or maybe the next two, maybe the first two paragraph, okay, the first two paragraph are devoted to on outlining the general ideas about the issue about the topic. For example, if you're talking about the, let's say you want to do this title in this project for your research this semester. For example, you want to look at how the COVID-19 has changed your preference in terms of using online platform, okay, to do your grocery shopping, meaning that you buy stuff that normally that you buy in a physical store, but now because you want to minimize the your time going out to to reduce the risk of the infection, so you want to you can buy some, for example, like Tesco in some places we have Tesco online, whereby you can do your grocery, or maybe you can hire some delivery guy who can do your shopping for you. Okay, the COD, meaning that you list down what are the things that you want to buy, and then maybe that particular person will go and search the product for you, and then you can pay them later. Even there are some for example, like Food Panda or Grab shop. So these are applications that where you can do your grocery shoppings online. Okay, so maybe you want to do a simple project, okay, how the pandemic has changed your preference or the style of shopping, okay, from physical to using online approach. So you want to ask because of the we are so maybe you want to ask questions. So the issue is basically on online purchase. Okay, online purchasing is a very common topic. Okay, online shopping or online purchase. So, but of course, due to the pandemic, when there are many physical stores that were forced to close down, but online business actually has increased or managed to survive and even expand. Okay, so if so that is some like a positive side of the COVID-19. It for companies that are struggling before, now they can take advantage of the pandemic. Okay, meaning that people spend a lot of time at home, and then because of that, they don't have anything else better to do but do shopping lah. Okay, people go on Lazada or Shopee or any other online store and do their shopping from there. Okay, so if that is the intention of your project, you want to investigate on the online purchase, attitude, for example. Why do you go online? What are the purpose? What are the products that you normally buy online? So let's say you have this idea and then you want to search more information on that. Okay, you go to Google Scholar. Okay, so the Okay, so Google Scholar provides you with, you can go to, let Google Scholar be your, your go-to website in terms of finding the, articles or projects or journals or thesis that you want to refer to. Okay, so I think even in the Google Drive link, I think there are some theses related to this online shopping subject. Okay, so if you're looking in terms of into this issue, so your general idea will be something on the the online platform as the medium of shopping, meaning that if your focus is on Malaysia, okay, so let Malaysia be maybe in the second paragraph or in the third paragraph. So maybe the first paragraph you want to just mention on the online shopping trend, for example, using Amazon, eBay, okay, all the normal platforms or Lazada, all the common platforms that are currently popular right now. Okay, so how much of the online shopping actually contribute, or how much actually the volume of trade, okay, that originates from online platform. For example, Amazon is the world number one, okay, in terms of the platform. Okay, it's very popular in the US. Okay, so in Malaysia, of course, we don't use Amazon. People do go for Amazon from time to time, maybe to buy stuff from the US. Okay, in China, maybe the number one will be the Alibaba. I'm not really familiar, okay, but I'm sure the Alibaba website is one of the top in China. Okay, in Korea, I'm not sure. Maybe you need to ask Sihun on this. So in Malaysia, of course, I think our top two most popular platform will be Shopee and Lazada. Okay, and of course, people do buy online from Facebook, okay, from WhatsApp groups and whatnot. But in terms of the proper websites, I think that the top two will be the Shopee and also Lazada. So maybe you want to, the first paragraph will be in general terms, okay, how the online shopping, when does online shopping actually became a trend, okay, in the world. And then maybe in the next few paragraphs, you want to start talking about the online shopping trend in Malaysia. Nothing to do with COVID-19 yet. So, and then because the focus of your thesis will be on the impact of COVID-19 on the online trend, or purchasing online during COVID-19. So maybe that you can start in the second paragraph or the third paragraph. Okay, and then you want to start talking on or writing on how the pandemic actually has changed the way people do shopping. Okay, because of the restrictions, the lockdown and everything. You cannot go, you cannot cross, you cannot even cross district. Okay, so basically you are trapped in your house most of the time. So the idea that you want to develop actually is a lot of stuff that you can write, okay, but you need to know how much that you need to provide in the introduction. But a good introduction will be, general to specific. So you want to start on the, the general concept first. So if you you know, in my own project here. So my project is on the oil price shocks and macroeconomic activities in Malaysia. So basically, what this project is about is looking at the impact of oil price increase. You know, the word shocks mean a large increase in oil price or a large decrease in oil price, because we know that, you know, oil price can go up very high, or it can drop very low. For example, during COVID-19 last year, you know, oil price became very low because of the lockdown. People cannot travel, so the demand for oil was quite low. So, you know, now oil price start to go up again because of, you know, the activities are currently going back to normal. Okay, but I think if you maybe, you know, some of you do not remember. Okay, back in 2007 or 2008, okay, oil price went up very high. Okay, in fact, we need to pay almost like 3 ringgit per liter of petrol in Malaysia. So, and it stayed quite very high for several years. Okay, so during that time, the world price of oil went up as high as $140 per barrel. Now our price is around $60-70 per barrel. During last year, the first few months of pandemic, oil price went as low as $20-30 per barrel. So you can see that there's a huge swing in the oil price, okay, from high as $130-140 per barrel, and it can even reach as low as $20-30 per barrel last year. So that is what the issue of oil price shocks is about lah. Okay, and then I want to look at the impact on GDP, the economic growth in Malaysia, export, import, and whatnot. Okay, so if you look at my introduction, there's nothing to do about the issue of oil price. So what I did is, you know, this entire paragraph is basically on the oil industry in Malaysia, how much the oil industry actually contribute to the income to the government. Okay, so this is the general idea, the general paragraph. Okay, because my project in my thesis is based on paper by paper basis, so I cannot write too much on the introduction for each of the project, because it's not like a normal thesis whereby you can have the whole thesis only discussing on one particular issue. Okay, so that is something that you need to bear in mind lah. So in a normal thesis of 5 chapters, your introduction, your background of the study will be the background for the whole thesis. So that's why you need to write around 3 to 4 pages normal, okay, in your background. But in my own project here, because this is more like a journal style writing, meaning that each project is only around 20-30 pages long. So I cannot have too much introduction, okay, in each of the project. So I only allocate a few pages just for the introduction only. So, but the main idea is that the first paragraph is the general about the Malaysian oil industry. Okay, and then the second paragraph, I start talking on how actually oil price increase or oil price decrease can actually benefit benefit Malaysia, or even make Malaysia worse off, or have negative or positive impact on Malaysia. So this is the when I want to start talking about how oil price shocks, okay, increase and decrease in the oil price will affect Malaysia. Okay, so this is the idea of the second paragraph. So I mentioned about the, some of the statistics, the recent economic turmoil, rising prices, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so and then the third paragraph is basically more discussion on looking at some articles, okay, some journals that I want to strengthen the idea that actually oil price shocks, okay, oil price increase or decrease has negative or positive impacts on Malaysia. So you must remember that when you write an academic project, okay, a thesis like this, okay, it is not like writing an assignment for a newspaper, right? It's not like writing a newspaper article. Academic writing is all about citation. Citation means you need to refer to previous studies, articles from the journals, articles from conference papers, article from thesis, but mainly article from journals. Okay, because thesis, we don't really refer to thesis in our in your writing. So whenever you read a good thesis, the introduction also will have some references and some journals that you refer to. Okay, so even though in a thesis you have your literature review, what is literature review? Basically, is a summary of what other people have done on a similar topic of yours. So let's say if you want to talk about, you want to write on the online purchase, okay, the online purchase, the why people go online to do their shopping and blah 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 lah. So basically, you want to look at what studies that have been done on this online purchase issue. So that will be the where most of your review or the summary of the papers that you have read, okay, where you will be lah, meaning you have a section on that. Okay, but that does not mean that you cannot refer to previous studies in your introduction as well. So in your introduction, you must also refer to maybe not many, maybe a few articles, okay, 4, 5, 6 articles that you have read and are relevant to your issue. So for example here, the author by the name Abby Singh Hee, okay, 2001. So basically, I cited paper that were done on Malaysia, okay, or related to the Malaysian issue. Okay, so this is more specific, meaning that you want to refer what other people, what are the previous research that were done on Malaysia on something on the issue that I'm talking, that I'm doing right now, which is on the impact of oil price shocks on Malaysia. So of course, I cannot do a topic exactly the same. I mean, if Abi Singhi has done exactly the same what I am doing right now, so there's no purpose for me to do this project. Okay, the same with you lah. Okay, so if you found an exactly the same title, the same scope of study, so of course in your own project here, why I say that you can do the something similar, because your respondent will be different. Okay, I mean in your assignment this semester, I'm a bit flexible on that. Okay, but especially if you are using primary data lah, but if you're using secondary data like mine, okay, so you cannot do a project or a research, okay, exactly the same data set, the same, because secondary data means everyone can have the same data, okay, because they are based on the same source. Okay, so you cannot do a research that were done before using same data set. So meaning that your study has there is no difference lah in your study compared to other people's study in the past. So what I meant, so when I cited paper by Abi Singhi, Cunado, and Di Gracia, so basically these papers or these authors, they have done something on a similar issue on Malaysia. I mean, they have Malaysian as part of the analysis, but maybe the focus will be slightly different. Okay, was slightly different, and maybe the time frame is also different. Okay, the variables, some of the variables are not the same. So I mean, I need to justify that my project is different than what Abi Singhi and Cunado has done, or else people, the examiner will ask me, why are you doing this when these are there are people that have done exactly the same. So of course in the real world, writing a journal paper, you need to find what is the difference of your project with the one that has already been published. Okay, so that is the challenge when you want to write any journal paper. Okay, but the idea that I want to highlight here is that the first 1 or 2 paragraphs will be the general idea of the issue. Okay, and then the next couple of paragraphs will be you slowly developing or focusing on the issue that you want to highlight, and not to forget you need to start citing. Okay, citing means referring to previous studies on similar issues that were done. So at least you are not just simply talking or writing, too general. So you need to provide some statistics, okay, where you get the data, the statistics of, meaning that you can provide some graphs, some tables, okay. So, and then, but one of the important part is you need to start citing previous papers. Okay, so for example, if you're doing purchasing online, so maybe you need to you need to cite, one or two papers that were done on Malaysia on the online online purchasing. There's a lot of articles in Google Scholar, okay, on this online purchasing done in Malaysia. So, but what you want to actually refer to must be something related to what you are doing. So, because your focus, let's say, is during pandemic, so of course the issue will be different, because the shopping done during pandemic has different meaning compared to what the intention. The purchase online during not during pandemic. Okay. So, but the main thing is that you need to start referring to some articles. Okay, and then you need to highlight the main findings of the previous project, the previous journal, so that it gives the introduction more value, more weight. Okay, it's not like you are just simply goreng lah. Like writing, going around in a circle, telling this and that. Okay, so one of the important part of introduction is to provide some statistics. Okay, because after all, we are Malaysia, we are economic students, okay, economic and agribusiness student. So that's why in this project as well, the master thesis that we referred to last Monday, okay, the student provided some statistics. So this statistic is supposed to justify the importance of FDI to Malaysia. So the same thing here, I provided some statistics, okay, just to justify, okay, the impact of the oil price fluctuations on the Malaysian GDP and whatnot lah. Okay, so and then again, the next paragraph also focusing on the oil price shocks issue. Okay, so and then so basically, I think you should get the idea on. So the main purpose of introduction is for you to start in general, what are the general issue, and then you start focusing on the issue of concern, okay, on your what your project is about, and start also referring to some articles, okay, that can provide some support, okay, of the issue, that so it makes your issue becomes more relevant. Okay, so for example, if you're talking about the online purchase during pandemic, so maybe only until the third or the fourth chapter, okay, you want to start highlighting on the online purchase during pandemic. Okay, so that will be how you want to develop. Of course, there is no one direct formula to this. Okay, you need to start. Sometimes this is a skill that you need to acquire. From time to time. It's not like you write one project then you are already good in writing a thesis. Okay, so an introduction may need to be rewritten several times, many times. I myself rewrite my introduction many times, because the first time when you wrote, okay, needs to be improved, and there's always a room for improvement. But the main thing is you need to remember that introduction should be from general to specific, general idea of the issue. Okay, so if you're talking about the online purchase during pandemic, so you can also start directly on the online purchase. Okay, meaning that you need you can even start directly online purchase during pandemic, meaning that but that should be in general term, meaning if you want to start your general idea, okay, the first paragraph you want to start directly on online purchase during pandemic, yes, you can do that, but not on Malaysia first. Okay, preferably just talking about how the pandemic actually have shaped or changed the way people do shopping. Okay, so maybe the first paragraph will be the online shopping, the online purchase worldwide. Okay, in the US, you can get some statistics how much of the online purchase has risen before pandemic compared to during pandemic. So you need to provide some data, some statistics that you can cite from credible sources, okay, from newspaper. So or any statistics lah. I mean, as long as you can provide the source, usually this is the part where you can use newspaper article to provide the statistics. Okay, in the introduction, yes, you can rely on newspaper cuttings, a newspaper article to justify the numbers, the figures. So you can start writing on the first paragraph, okay, the pandemic 19, the COVID-19, how actually it changes the online platform, the online purchase trend. Okay, so you can start in general talking about the worldwide data, okay, in the US, in China, in Korea, in Japan, you know. But not Malaysia first, because your study will be on Malaysia. So you do not want to start directly on Malaysia, or else you have very limited to talk or to write in the following paragraphs. So but the main thing is that you want to highlight the idea of online purchase during pandemic actually has risen or increased a lot, okay, because of the lockdown and everything. People cannot go out. So you need to provide some statistics, okay, referring to, you know, any newspaper clippings or articles that you can find online, so that it makes you can actually see the difference. So you need to provide some statistics before and after, or before pandemic and the during pandemic online purchase. Okay, then maybe on the second or the third paragraph, okay, you can start talking about the online purchase in Malaysia. Okay, but maybe you want to start on, okay, what are the common platforms on the online purchase in Malaysia? Okay, where do people, what are the common platforms that most Malaysians go to? Okay, in their online purchase. So this is where you need statistics and also referring to studies, okay, journals that were done on the online purchase in Malaysia. Okay, so at least you can see that, you know, how important or how much Malaysian actually spend on the online platform, okay, compared to physical platform. So once you have developed this idea, then maybe in the fifth paragraph, you can start talking about the pandemic effect on the shopping done in Malaysia. Again, you need to provide some statistics. Okay, statistics on, I'm sure there's a lot of statistics, by now on the online purchase done in Malaysia during pandemic 19. Okay, so the introduction is supposed to provide you the idea of, the online purchase during pandemic 19 now is becoming more and more significant. Okay, so that would be basically the idea of the idea of the introduction. Okay, so I hope you get some, some point lah. Of course, the best thing is to read, read and read lah. Read from that's why I provided a lot of the thesis, okay, from the library for you to read. Okay, so at least when you read 5-10 articles or thesis, you get the idea of how you actually should write your introduction, because that is what I am looking when I am evaluating your project. Okay, because remember, there is no exam. So the way you construct your introduction from general to specific, okay, providing the relevant statistics to support your issue, and also not to forget, okay, you need to also refer to some of the studies that were done before, okay, especially on the topic that you are, if you're focusing on Malaysia, so you need to start citing or referring to previous study that were done on online shopping in Malaysia. Of course, not during pandemic lah, because you are just, the main idea is just you want to highlight the importance of online platform in Malaysia, among Malaysians. Okay, so you can still repeat the same author. For example, Abby Singhi 2001. Okay, I mentioned this author in my introduction, but that does not mean that in my literature review section I cannot mention this person name again. Of course, in my introduction, I only briefly mention what this study is about. Okay, so I think this is something that some students do not understand the purpose of introduction and also the purpose of literature review. Okay, because literature review is the place where you summarize previous studies. Okay, so of course we will go through this section later, okay, in the next 1 or 2 weeks time. Okay, but for example, just now the person, okay, the paper by IP Singhi. Okay, in this introduction, I only mentioned his name, this project just in one line or just in one sentence. Okay, but in my intro chapter 2 literature review, okay, I should provide more discussion on IP Singhi much longer, meaning maybe one full paragraph just on what everything he has done. Meaning that even though I mentioned his name, this paper in the introduction, but very briefly, the purpose of mentioning this paper is just to provide some evidence that there is paper or project done on this particular topic before. Okay, and what is the main issue? Okay, but at the same time, you can repeat what this paper is about in the literature review section, but more detail. What method that the person used, the data start from what year to what year. So once we go through the literature review, you will get more understanding on how actually to write your literature review. So this is something that you need to bear in mind. Okay, just because you have cited the paper once in the introduction does not mean you cannot repeat the paper in the literature review, or the other way around. Just because you want to explain the paper more detail in the literature review does not mean that you cannot mention the paper first in the introduction. Okay, at first, when I first started doing my master's degree and also my PhD, okay, I did not know that. Okay, I thought if you want to cite paper, if you want to refer the paper, you cannot you cannot mention the paper in the introduction and then repeat in the literature review. Okay, of course you can do that, but that's why in the introduction you don't need to provide too many references, meaning that, I mean, too many, you cannot refer to so many articles, maybe just around 4 or 5 articles that is relevant to your issue. Okay, just to provide more, as I mentioned, more weight, okay, pemberat lah, more justification that the issue that you are that you are studying, or that you are doing at the moment is important. People have done before, but on a slightly different angle or different time frame. Okay, different period. So, but the main purpose is that when you cite this paper, you are just providing more evidence about the issue. Okay, so the literature review is where you discuss those papers again, but more in detail. Okay, so that is one thing that you need to bear in mind. Okay, so from general to specific, general idea, the first 1 or 2 paragraph provide relevant statistics, okay, from newspaper or economic report. Okay, as long as you can justify that the numbers are correct, okay, and where you get the numbers from. You cannot simply put numbers or figures without citing the source of the reference, the source of the data. Okay, so this is something that you need to bear in mind, especially in the introduction. Okay, for example, if you refer to this thesis again, the one that we discussed last Monday. Okay, so for example, that the student mentioned on this global competitiveness report. Okay, so the rest of the paragraph, I assume, comes from this report. Okay, or I mean, based on foreign direct investment confidence index something. Okay, so this is where the data comes from. So the student mentioned FDI increased by this by March, jump by 10 spots, blah blah, based on FDI confidence index. So this data set, okay, is sourced from this report. So at least I mean, so that is something that you need to bear in mind. So the numbers that you put does not really come from air, meaning you don't simply create the numbers, simply, or if so this is something about academic writing that you need to remember. If you put numbers, statistics, make sure that you, mention where the numbers come from. You can write this way, or you can put in bracket like what I shown here. Okay, Bank Negara Report 2008. Okay, so this is some things that one of the few things lah that I want to highlight when you write your introduction chapter. Okay, from general to specific. Okay, so any question at this stage?
No, sir.
Okay, kejap. Okay, let me share what your seniors did. Some of the topics that your seniors did several semester ago on this subject, okay, research method. Um, okay. So the purpose of me sharing this is maybe you can get some idea on the topic lah. Okay, what you can do. Of course, this topic has nothing to do with COVID-19 lah. Okay, so for example, this is on the student, okay, contribution of Grab services on UEM student income. Okay, so basically the student. So but this topic is the student. All of the students they prepared the questionnaire from zero, so it's a lot of process actually. So but of course they do find some reference, some examples from the internet that they want to, but all the the questions here are based on they construct from zero lah, meaning from scratch. So there's a lot of work being that were put on developing the questionnaire. So, but but now because of learning online and everything, so I would prefer that you find topics or topic or title lah that are quite simple for you. At least you can find sample questionnaire content. Okay, so this is on the Grab service. So of course you can find topic related to like Malaysia Grab car is still popular lah, but in the US it will be like Uber, okay, and other services lah. So this is the first topic. And then this one will be on, okay, so this is in Malay lah. So Sihun maybe cannot understand, but okay, I translate this one lah. Okay, the impact of UEM on the socio-economy of traders in Changlun. Changlun is the small is the small district. I mean the not to say town, okay, but a small town lah in closest to UEM. Okay, it's a 15 minutes away from UEM. Okay, so basically the students were interested to investigate the impact of having UEM to the traders in the city of Changlun. Okay, so for example, in how because we have like the night markets in Changlun every Wednesday. So the student will go out and do their buy their foods, groceries, and also the surrounding shops, okay, in Changlun. So basically the questionnaire that were done on so again, so this is the questionnaire that were developed from zero. Okay, they managed to find some articles related to like having a university in the town or in a place somewhere, and how actually that university helped to improve the economy of that particular area. Okay, so this is another possible topic that you might want to investigate. Okay, the impact of UEM. Okay, and then this is on the this is also a very local topic about UEM. This is about the cost of living, the increase in the cost of living on the UEM staff. UPSB is the support staff, the one that do the cleaning, mowing cutting the grass, cleaning the toilet. So support staff of UEM. So basically, they are interested to. So the respondents supposed to be the UPSB or the support staff lah. Okay, so they want to know what is the impact on the increase in the cost of living on the UPSB staff. Okay, because the UPSB staff they earn a small amount of income. Okay, they are in the B40, the bottom 40 income group. So because of the small income that they receive, okay, they want to know how much, what is the impact in the increase in the cost of living on these employees. So again, the topic on the cost of living on I think is quite common. So the questionnaire that they get, of course, they need to modify, come up with their own set of questionnaire. Okay, so this is another topic that were done before. Another one will be on the impact on the petrol subsidy on the taxi drivers in Changlun. So basically, the issue is about government reducing the subsidy of petrol, which lead to increase in the petrol prices. So previously, I think for most Malaysians, we are familiar with the low petrol prices in Malaysia back in, like 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. Okay, but government has gradually reduced. Now they have completely, they have removed the subsidy, especially for the RON 97 petrol. But for the 95, okay, there is some small subsidy or mechanism actually to control the price. Okay, so basically the respondents should be the taxi drivers in Changlun. Okay, so they want to know what are the impact on their income, okay, after the removal of the subsidy, because when subsidy is removed, the oil price goes up, so the income of the taxi drivers is supposed to be affected lah. Okay, so this is another topic that were done before. So again, the questions were developed from scratch. Okay, they have some articles to refer to on the issue on subsidy and everything. Okay, but many of the questions were done from scratch. Okay, who are their customers, blah 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 lah. Okay, so these are another potential topic if you want to do. So these are all primary data set, primary database research. Okay, so this group did on the importance of the halal logo, okay, on the intention to purchase among students, I think. So they did, if a product has this halal logo, how it will actually affect your decision to buy. So the topic on halal logo is a very common or popular topic among researchers, especially you can find a lot of journals focusing on the halal logo, because halal logo is not only unique to Malaysia. Okay, there are many countries that do provide, and Muslim, non-Muslim countries, the halal logo is like a certificate of quality. So, and especially, of course, it matters more for the Muslim, but also it has different, issue as well in terms of the quality, whether the product has halal logo or not, what type of procedure that will followed in order to get the halal certification. So the issue of halal logo is something quite easy to find in terms of the materials. So again, this is the question that were done. They got some references or example questions from past studies. Okay, of course, they do some changes lah to reflect the case in UEM. Okay, and this one is on again I think this one is on. Okay, why it's not opening? I'm not sure why. Okay, this is on the, oh, this is the UPSB. Okay, we think, see. Okay, I'm not sure what is the reason I cannot open, but the title is the factors that influencing the students to involve in part-time job in UUM. Okay, because I think it's quite common for undergraduates, okay, to involve in part-time jobs, meaning that they work part-time in cafes, in restaurants, in shops. Okay, they earn a small income. Some of them need the money to actually pay for their foods, okay, and some just they want to uh, you know earn something just for fun lah, just to, especially among senior students who have less credit hours to take, so they got extra time during the day, so they work part time in restaurant, cafes around UAM. So this is another topic that were done before. Okay, factors that factors that motivates or influence the students to involve in part-time jobs in UUM. So you can see that there are many topics that you can do. Okay, that you can propose, especially if you're talking about the recent development during COVID-19. Okay, Grab car, Food Panda, online purchase, or if you want to do on agricultural sector, for example, about the paddy farmers, how actually I mean, you can talk about the cost of living, how the impact of COVID-19, the lockdown, okay, people cannot travel, how actually it affects the small businesses, the shops. So again, your respondents will be among your friends, but the questions must be designed or constructed in a way that, if you were to ask the actual respondent, if your respondent will be among the shopkeepers, pekedai-pekedai, okay, shopkeepers, or shop owners, for example, okay, the small grocery stores. So you need to design the questions as though those questions will be answered by the actual people lah. Okay, so that will be the challenging part. Okay, the easy part is you don't need to go and ask them yourself lah. You can just let your friends answer those questions. Okay, but the questionnaire will be as accurate as possible. Okay, so marks, of course lah, will be awarded. Part of your assignment will be the questionnaire as well. Okay, not just the 5 chapters. Okay, because good questionnaires will make sure that your thesis, the objectives of your research can be answered. Okay, if you don't have a good questionnaire, what you plan to actually investigate in your research cannot be answered lah. So what you outline in your research or questions, all the objectives that you want to achieve, okay, is all based on what you provide in your questionnaire. Okay, so that one, of course, we will discuss later lah. What are the main ingredients in any questionnaire? Okay, so I think that is the one small announcement. Okay, next Monday lah. Okay, I will not be around to conduct the lecture. Okay, so what I will do is I will record the lecture the day before and put it on YouTube for you to view. Okay, and if there is any article that you need to read or prepare, okay, so on next following Thursday, we will have our lecture as usual. So meaning that on the 25th of October, there will be no online WebEx, okay, but I will provide the recorded video in advance. Okay, and then on the 28th of October, we have our normal lecture. Okay, but then on the Monday the 1st, again, okay, there will be no online WebEx lah, meaning it's based on recorded video that I will do in advance. So meaning that on the 25th and the 1st of October, there is no live session, but based on recorded, only on the 28th. I think on the 4th, we have our holiday, right? The Deepavali. So I think Deepavali falls on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. You can double check and confirm. So holiday, of course, no lecture lah. Okay, so 25th and 1st of November, no online WebEx, but based on recorded session. So attendance, I will manually add into the system lah. Okay, and then on the 28th, okay, we're gonna have our normal session. So because Thursday there is no lecture, so meaning that in the next couple of weeks we only have one live session. Okay, but and 4th will be a holiday lah, the Deepavali. So since we only meet once in the next couple of weeks, so I hoping that on the 28th we can do a lot of face-to-face, I mean not face-to-face, more active discussion, okay, on the 28th. Okay, meaning that I need participation among you all lah, okay, during class. So any other things before we end? It's almost 10 already, so it's actually more than 10 minutes what I plan to do. Any